Good morning, Sarah Gorrell with you through until 2 o'clock.
BBC Radio Sussex.
Call 0800 232 1045.
0800 232 1045. BBC Radio Sussex.
Now, it's a conversation none of us want to have with our loved ones, but it's one that could make the difference between life and death for someone else. We're talking organ donation. My next guests are urging people to talk to their families so they know their wishes before they die and honour them. You may well know the name, Anisa Chowdhury, brilliant singer in Brighton. She has done so much locally as well, involving things like the Martletts Choir. We've spoken to her a lot in the past. She has a twin sister, Aisha. They're hosting an event in Brighton on Saturday, and they'll talk about how their teenage years were spent searching for a kidney donor and transplant for their mum, who was on dialysis for 10 years. Sadly, the search was unsuccessful. She died just after her 50th birthday. Let's talk to Anisa and Aisha now, who join me in the studio. Thank you both so much. Lovely to see you both.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Let's start, Anisa, by talking about your mum. Tell me about your mum.
Oh, she's incredible. She's why I am who I am. It's really, I'm really blessed that I still have my dad, and my sister very much reminds me of my mum. So even though she's only 10 minutes older than me, she gives me a lot of support and love and makes me feel like I can do anything. So I think our mum lives on very much through us. We both have resilience and grit, and I hope we come across as people who have big hearts and want to make a positive difference in the world.
Do you see your mum in Anisa?
Oh, bless, I do, because my mum always was a kind person and she always wanted to make other people feel good and happy, and I totally see that is what Anisa's doing in her life through her work, her performance and working with charities.
You obviously have a great bond, you have each other, but losing your mum when she was, just after her 50th birthday, and you must have been young yourself. What was that like? Devastating, I'd imagine.
Absolutely. So we were 15 teenagers, doing music and sports lots at the time when she became unwell. 10 years later, I was 25, and she was 39 when she became unwell and was 49 just 4 days into her 50th birthday. She was admitted to hospital. That's kind of, we're like 48, so we're kind of at the age now, and of course it's absolutely devastating. It is crushing, and it's not something you expect parents to do, which is to leave at such an early age. They're supposed to live long lives, and that didn't happen.
And what was it like, sort of coping with all the dialysis? She had a lot to deal with during that time as well, so she couldn't just get on with just doing things without thinking about the dialysis.
Dialysis is what kept her alive. We absolutely are so grateful that she was able to have it, because not everyone can. But for 10 years, she was on 2 types of dialysis, and during that time, it was really difficult. So she tried to live life the best that she could, but she did spend a lot of time going into different hospitals to have what's called a fistula. If you have an infection on your fistula, which is kind of the entry point that you need, then that really leads to a lot of infections and problematic, difficult situations. So it was quite hard.
And at the start of this, the start of her journey with this illness, she was dealing with twin teenage girls. And as someone that's got teenage now, I'm thinking, that must have been quite, for her, quite a juggling act.
She's incredible though, because even though, for anyone who's been on dialysis or knows about it, it consumes a lot of your energy. So you'll go into a dialysis unit or have it at home, CAPD or hemodialysis, and the process, it takes a few hours, and it does the job of cleaning your kidneys for you, so it tires you out. And she'd have some time off and rest, but then she'd get right back into the swing of being an amazing, typical Asian mum, making several different meals of food which smelt and tasted divine, out of this world. She'd make sure we were able to get to all of the activities that our mum and dad wanted us to do. And that included, orchestra, choir, judo, tennis, all of those things. So she sort of juggled it really well, and we never really felt like she couldn't do life and really embrace it fully. And
I love the way your face lights up when you talk about her. That's a brilliant legacy, isn't it, that your mum's left? Those wonderful memories.
Yeah.
And you've written a book about your journey, about what it was like living with that illness.
I have. So this is Aisha speaking. When my mother passed away, I was really angry to my core, and it was because I didn't expect her life to finally end. So I started to put down my feelings, and it started off as some sort of pamphlet. But during the years of the pandemic, I realised these feelings were coming out again, which was the uncertainty of not knowing. And I realised that those were the same feelings I had when my mum became unwell and we didn't know what was happening as a family. So I called it Family Matters. I started it 23 years ago, but I really, because that's when she passed away, that I really got my teeth into getting it finished in the last 4 years. And I say it's a daughter's memoir of laughter to loss and laughter again, because we were a happy family despite what was going on.
Well, we'll talk more about how someone could get a copy of that book in just a moment, and also talk about what it's actually like waiting for that call, waiting for a donor that can make all the difference, and what you're doing at the weekend. Thank you so much for being our guest today. I'm delighted to welcome my guests today, so Anisa and Aisha Chowdhury, who want people to have those conversations about organ donation. Their mum very sadly died just after her 50th birthday as she was waiting for a kidney to become available, and now they're both passionate about making sure that people get themselves on that register so other people do not have to go through what they have been through. And let's talk, Aisha, about what it was like for your mum. She was waiting for a kidney to become available, so she became ill in her late 30s, died just after her 50th birthday. But during that time, at what point did she get put on the donor register?
Once she was informed that her kidneys were no longer working, they asked her straight away, would you like to be put onto the organ transplant list? Because not everyone wants to go onto it. And she said, yes, of course, immediately. But what emerged after that was they said, because you're from an underrepresented background, actually, it's quite hard for people, in the case that you have, which is your kidneys are not working, it's quite hard for people like you to find a transplant, because it really needs to come from someone from the same background as you. And that's a bit like saying, we can help put you on the list, but actually...
But there won't be anyone available.
Yeah, the pool of people is a lot less simply because of your background. Because with kidneys, unlike all the other organs, you have tissue typing, which means you need to have a match with that. So although she did have a pager back then and would receive the occasional phone call saying, come in, because we have you and someone else as potential recipients who can receive an organ, in the end, she never was one of those people that came away successfully.
That's hard, isn't it? Because you had that little glimmer of hope that potentially there could be, and you always hold on to that hope.
You have to have hope. We lived off hope because we had to have hope, and that absolutely makes such a difference to your outlook. Because in life, people who are not well can be miserable, or they can have hope. And Mum, because of her children and her husband and her community, she always had hope, and I think that channels through us. And faith. She also had faith. I mean, we all just tried to see it as optimistically and positively as possible, and we really believed that call would come, and that she would get her kidney. But when she really didn't, 10 years later, it just didn't seem real, because we couldn't believe that there wasn't a match for her.
Anisa, it's still raw for you now, isn't it, losing her? I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just one of those things that we arrive at a place where we manage grief differently, and I'm really grateful to Aisha for writing about this because it's such an important topic. But I mean, as a twin, I'm supposed to have read the book and be ready to talk about it at the events we're doing, and I just can't read that first chapter. I can't read it. I mean, I know exactly what happened because I was there, and I will read it, but I'm also gonna do it when it feels okay for me and that I can process it, because I don't know, it just hits you like a bus every single time, that losing someone. I think when you lose someone in life that you really care about, especially perhaps when you've had a strong bond with your parent, it really cuts deep. And I know certainly not just for me, but other people I know, it's something really hard to continue to live with. I can't say I got over it. I think I've learned to live with it.
What you must wish when you're performing is that she was there to see you and to be part of that. And you want to stop other people going through this, which is why you're raising awareness.
Oh my goodness, this is Aisha. So we have the same voices. Exactly. The point is that you automatically are on the organ donor register now in the UK. However, what's quite clear is because you're automatically on it, you don't necessarily explicitly say, oh, I'm on the organ donor register, but you can. You can register your decision to donate by registering onto the organ donor register. And that's brilliant because it's very clear to your family members what your wishes are. And so the point of writing the book is to tell our story, our story as a family, but also for people to read it, to say, gosh, I should
register onto the organ donor register, say what my wish to donate is, but more importantly, I should talk to my family so that it's not a massive shock when the time comes, because we all come into the world and we all leave, to be presented with that really difficult question when you're absolutely crushed because you've lost your loved one. Talk about it earlier, let them know what your wishes are, and then that person's wishes are fulfilled and not gone against by the family who just can't grapple
I know they're
with what's
doing what you
going
want.
on.
It's so hard, isn't it, to have those conversations? And the University of Brighton have endorsed your book, which is fantastic.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. The University of Brighton Donor Research Group, led by Simone Weeks, has a fantastic group, and the work they're doing is, in my opinion, absolutely amazing. They have kindly endorsed my book. It's so good to have it validated by an organisation, and the work they're doing is to try to raise awareness not just for organ donation but also blood donation, because without either,
that's another issue, isn't it? I know.
Yeah.
And so tell us where can we find the book, first of all?
Okay, the best way to get hold of it is to write me an email at happyaisha@hotmail.com. That's HAPPYAISHA.
That's a great email address. I'm quite envious of that one.
You can also look me up online, Aisha Chowdhury. I'm on Linktree and most social media places, and you will find me. So just drop me a line and I will get it to you.
And the event at the weekend, Nisa, tell us more.
So yes, there's one event tonight at the Comedia, which is led by the University of Brighton. That's a film and then a panel debate. And did you want to just...
And the New Black Film Collective.
Yes, thank you. And the one on the weekend is at the Ledwood Centre, the best LGBTQ plus centre anywhere in England. I'm just saying that because I'm biased. But it's at 7:00. And we've actually only got 2 tickets left. But we're going to be telling some stories about growing up while we're waiting for a kidney for our mum. And also Aisha's going to read some extracts from her book. I'm going to sing some songs that were relevant to us. One song we sang at the very end, which is it was a slightly unusual thing to do, but we belonged to a beautiful choir, Central Berkshire Girls Choir at the time, and when our mum passed away, there was like this eerie silence, as you can imagine, and then we just found ourselves singing The Sound of Silence because it was a song that meant a lot to us, and we're supposed to be singing that on the weekend. I don't know what's going to happen,
You're
but
going to cry.
that's the plan. Yeah. And if you can't, and we're bringing samosas with us, which is pivotal to growing up in an Asian household. Thank you, Daddy.
If you can't make the event on Saturday, the one tonight that's at the Comedia is at 7 p.m. It's a film that's being shown, but there's a panel of pretty impressive speakers who will be discussing the topic of organ donation in the South Asian community. So if you have time, pop along to that.
Well, it's such a pleasure to see you both. Thank you for coming in the studio, and stay in touch. Let us know how you get on, won't you, with this?
Thank you so much.
Update later in the year. Lovely to see you both.
Sarah.
Thank you for
very
coming
much.
in.
Upload. Get yourself on the BBC.